this old Harbor Freight kit that's just been my catch-all for my welding tools, all these clamps and everything, squares, magnets, F-clamps, which aren't here, they're over on the side, all piled on the top, and then the bunch on the bottom is all the scrap steel. It's just ridiculous, man. Look at, I mean, I'm just throwing pieces of scrap steel in there, and it's just piles of junk that end up in there because I'm not really prioritizing. It's just like a regular trash can that you just throw all your trash in. You don't really, you're not trying to sort it out, and I wasn't really sorting it out, so I never get in here to try to find a piece of scrap that I need, like a little piece of angle, or a piece of flat, or whatever, or a round piece, and sometimes I just need a little piece like this, and I'll go cut a new piece, because this is not organized, and I don't want to dig through a pile of junk. So I'm going to organize this, and get rid of this junk that I'm just keeping that's just scrap that I'll never use. These bigger pieces, of course, I might use someday. I'm going to save those, and there's some oddball pieces. But I'm going to try to organize it into, I'm going to divide this into 3 compartments on the bottom here and here as well, so that I'll have dividers here, and then I'll be able to put my, of course this is upside down, sorry, but I'll put my small pieces of flat, small pieces of angle, small pieces of round, small pieces of plate, small pieces of expanded metal, square. Yeah, so that's what's going to go there. And then I'll put my other tools on top. I'm going to build a rack that comes off the top of this that I can hang my grinders on, that are kind of at working height, so I'm not bending over all the time to get tools out of the bottom here. But my tools that I get all the time, like I'm hang my grinders up there on my clamps, so they're all kind of at working height, about my shoulder height, so I can just grab them off there. Okay, good. One thing I want to do, this is kind of a narrow, it feels pretty uncoordinated when you turn it because this is so narrow, and I'm going to be putting weight higher up on it because I'm going to be building a rack above it. So I'm going to move these wheels out more like that, and it's a tiny bit thicker here, but I think it's going to be fine. These holes that I'm going to drill here closer to the edge are going to be, I think, just as strong because of this bend right here. Okay, so we're going to put these wheels outboard like this, and really I'm just trying to repurpose this. This is, I could buy a new one and build it, but this one I've had for lots of years, and it's just collecting junk. I want to try to make it more useful so I can actually, when I have a project out there, I can roll the welder out, I can roll this cart out, and this cart's going to have all my welding tools on it. My clamps, my grinders, my everything. And so I'll just have it all right where I'm working, so I won't be having to come in and out to get the extra things I need. Alright, that took about 20, 30 minutes, I guess. 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I don't know. Spaced out another inch each side, so... And I went ahead and moved these. I know why they put the wheels as far underneath as possible so they don't stick out, so you don't kick them when you're walking around them. And that makes sense, especially these swivel wheels, because they can stick out a little bit. But let's flip it over here. Okay, that'll work. Okay, I got these tacked in. It's going to be pretty sturdy. I just tacked the top edges there on a real super low setting. This is pretty thin stuff. Yep, that'll work. So these are just scraps that I want to have handy. Sometimes you just need a little piece of something. So little pieces of strap or flat, round, whether it's pipe, open or solid. Whoops. Huh. I think I could read. I don't know why, I'm just going to put those in there. There's some square and plate. I mean, I don't know what else to call it, but it's not really flat. Yeah. So I'm going to try to be more organized when I have little drops or little cutoffs, little pieces that I cut off. Hopefully I'm going to be more organized now and kind of put them in. And I may change it. I may decide, oh, I need that space for something else and forget the expanded metal because I hardly use that for anything. So, yeah. stuff's sticking out. So I'll have a spot for this longer stuff as well.
So we're taking the bolts out here in this corner, and I'm going to try to slide this between this inner part and this outer part here, and it looks like it lines up pretty well there and there as well, like those bolt holes are going to line up. Okay, and this is 1.5 slotted angle. Okay, and this works well for a hole aligner. Yep. Okay, that's what it looks like. These are 5-foot pieces. I just cut them at 30 inches. So that used them all. It's not quite as tall as I wanted it to be, but I think what I'm going to do is put the angle here and then put a square of angle across there that I can put a board on top and then use that as a shelf, or just maybe put another strap in the middle here that I can hang more stuff on. So get that hole to line up, and then that's kind of a long slot that should line up with that. And of course, if your cart's not this exact dimension, you can always lean these in a little bit or lean them out a little bit. It's not, that's what makes this the beauty of building with this. I'm a little disappointed that I'm not welding it, because I was like, yeah, I'll just get some angle and weld it, and that would work fine. But then I would have had to fenestrate if I want to hang any hooks or put any slots or bolt anything to it or whatever. This is just so much easier as far as its usability goes now. And of course, this is a little bit lighter too than regular steel would be. So this is my favorite way to cut metal, especially when I'm in the garage with the doors closed, because it's nasty weather outside. There's no this doesn't make any abrasive dust, so there's nothing nasty for you to breathe. And of course, this is the Bauer from Harbor Freight. I got it for $99 on sale. I've seen it as low as $89 on sale a few weeks ago. I've used it for, I don't know, a few months now, and I really like it. This is my third blade I think I'm on, just because I've worn the others out for cutting so much. This is the Milwaukee, I think it's an 18 TPI, and they're about, 15, 16 bucks for two. And I thought the Harbor Freight brands would be a lot cheaper, but they're not. The Hercules and the Bauer brands of these that fit this Portaband saw are about the same price as well. I haven't tried those out, but the Milwaukee ones I like really well. They cut really well. So okay, and the cut on it is, it leaves a kind of a fine edge. You can grind that off if it's getting stuck on something, but it does a good job. Even as fast as that cut was, it makes a pretty clean cut. Now, I'm using this for the upper part. This is 1 1/4 by 48. And one of the things I wanted to do was check the gauge here. And oh, that's somewhere between 16 and 18 gauge. Oh, it doesn't go into 18 gauge. So this is 18 gauge. So I just bought these in bulk. I'm not going to use that many for this little project today, maybe 6 or 8, but these nylon lock nuts I just like having, just because I like putting them on everything on that I can. These are graded bolts. They were more expensive than the regular ones, but you don't have to ever worry about them breaking. And then like ungraded bolts can. And then of course just another box of washers. Use washers for everything. So let's get this one bolted up and see what it looks like. Okay, so that's what the top looks like. And man, it feels very sturdy. Guess I can cut these edges off or leave them. Doesn't really matter. It feels pretty solid, you know, with both of these bolted in down here. I started to just do one, but I thought, well, I'll just burn another couple inches and not worry about it. All right, let's just see how it hangs a grinder. Okay, that's what I was looking for. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the cords. I guess hang them over like that. Cord management's always been a pain with grinders. This is the grinder, you know, with these, sometimes they have tighter gaps there between the grinder itself and the guard. And so that's one reason, another reason I went with this thinner metal instead of regular steel 1/8, like 1/8 or whatever, because I wanted to make sure that this slot dropped in there easily, and it does. And I didn't want this very tall either, because one of the problems I have getting my grinder off this swag off-road, when it sits right there, okay, it goes in easy, but then getting it off, that trigger always ends up somehow getting up behind there, so I have to kind of finagle it a little bit to get it off. So if you just go straight up, of course the trigger gets caught. You have to kind of lift it and then tip it out. Trying to avoid that here, where this just drops on. It does a nice job. We can throw the cord over. Yep. Okay, good. Is it perfectly square? Nope. But neither is the cart. So the cart sits crooked. But that's okay. Clean. Okay, here's another one with kind of a, this isn't quite as narrow as the DeWalt's, but it's kind of a narrow gap there between the guard. Okay. Good. Got some longer F clamps. This says these are 16 by 4 3/4 throat. This one's a little shorter. I think this is from Harbor Freight, this Burger. These others are, these longer ones are from Tractor Supply. They were on sale one day and I picked up a few of them. 12 by 4 3/4. This feels a little more substantial. It's got a little bit coarser thread pattern here. Okay, so that's all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those. Okay. I thought I had 3 of these. Then I have a couple of just small ones. That'll all hang there. C-clamps. Okay, cool. Then as far as squares go, you just set them in here. Keep a regular pair of vice grips, and then this, I don't know how I can hang it, so it'll probably just be in here as well. Okay. Got a whole pile of magnets. I guess I can stick them on the side if they're taking up too much space in here. Got a few extras I'm just keeping in the package just to keep the metal shavings off of them. Mag tab. I don't know why I've left the tag on it, but there's that. Okay, and then on this side, these are obviously not for welding close because these are just clamps, plastic clamps, but their springs are pretty strong on them, and be better to do something like that, right? Sometimes I just need to hold a piece of work a little ways away from something, and these are just quick because they just clip on. Yeah, I melted one of them, I think, but that's okay. They are kind of cheap. A few bigger clamps. These little clamps, obviously not for welding either because that's metal, but that plastic piece would melt right there. And of course this is all plastic, this would melt as well. But if I'm clamping something far away from where I'm welding or grinding or cutting, these work really good because this is super fast. Right. And then of course my angle, 90-degree angle jig, guess we can throw in there too. Okay, obviously some have had a better life, but I do have one nice one. Okay, those can all live there. They kind of stick off a little bit so I can grab the handles easily. We'll make a spot for measuring tape. I'm not sure where that should go, but it's pretty brightly colored so it can clip right there. And now the question is, do I want to put a rack down the middle here so I can hang other stuff in the middle? There's a top view. Now the real test, is it going to tip over? So far so good. It definitely feels top heavy. Okay, also I just went ahead and put a middle piece down here of this angle. It's a little bit different size as well. As you can see, it's a little taller than this, but I really don't care too much about that. And so I can hang extra stuff on that, and these vice grips I can get out from down there and just go ahead and put them up here, clip them on. This thing, I was wondering what to do with it, and because I've used this just a handful of times, but I don't use it very often, but when I do use it, it's a nice tool to have. It can just sit up there. It doesn't even have to clamp on. It will slide up and down. It'll stay in place right there. That'll be nice. As far as pins go, I was trying to figure out how I could engineer a little piece with little slots that I could put the pin heads in, but none of them are ever the same, and then they fall through or they don't fit or they're too fat, so that'll just hold those, just some Sharpies. And then what I would do with hammers, my plan was to just lay them in here because that's what I like to do, so I can just grab them easy. If this starts getting full though, my wife came walking through a little bit ago and said, hey, why don't you just get a little rack that hangs across here from the hardware store and just hang it across here that has the big holes in it that you can just drop your hammers in. So that's a good idea. I might do that. I might not do it on the handle side, but I might do it on this back side over here. And she also suggested, do we use these, and can you put these on somewhere so you could hang your hammers on between these and just make them like, and I was like, well, that's a good idea. My worry is with these hanging out like that, you know, I could weld these on or whatever and make it work, or even put another piece across like right here and then hang your hammers on the outside, and that would work too. On one hand, I don't want to impede my access to this from any real, you know, any one side. I still have to kind of work through the cords here, but I'd like to be able to reach in for whatever side I'm working on, not have to walk around it. The other thing is, if I'm bending over around this thing to pick up a piece of scrap metal, or I don't want to hook my eye on that or my cheek, tear my cheek or whatever if something's sticking out. Now, I guess I could use them on the inside and that would be safer, but I think I'm going to pass on something like that for right now. Okay, so as far as the bandsaw goes, you know, got this little chip pan, and it's also my drop catcher, so the little pieces of drops that I'm that are falling off here I'm catching here. Let's just take this out. We can dump the chips and we can take these scraps and put them in the thing over here. There's a little piece of expanded metal. Who knows what pieces I might need? I don't know. Maybe I just need a little tiny piece for whatever. I guess this channel I'm going to call flat and put it here with the flat stuff. Otherwise, there's a little piece of angle. Another little piece of angle. Okay, so, you know, this welding cart, I guess is what I'm going to call it, the welding cart, not the welder cart, is, you know, where do I draw the line as far as what I put on here? So do I put the extra flap discs, and then do I put the extra grinder discs, and the extra brushes, and the extra cutoff wheels, and then the wrenches for those tools? Do I put all that on here? Do I put my MIG wire on here? Do I put, so I got to draw the line somewhere. I guess this was just to try to keep everything sort of organized in one spot. So when I'm doing a project in the driveway or wherever, I can just roll it to right there. I kind of have everything right there. I know exactly where it is. It's a little more organized as far as my scraps go and as far as my tools go on the top here, because this was just a piled jumble of all this stuff was piled on here. And I used to pile my grinders on top of that, and it was just such a pain in the butt digging through everything, trying to find everything. Of course, it's just how I always did it. So then, as far as the welder carts go, what do you keep on there? I mean, the MIG wire, the rods, gloves, helmets, that's all the basic stuff that's on here. Extra consumables for the plasma cutter. MIG pliers, you know, are on the MIG carts. Extra batteries for the helmets that are here. So, you know, extra tips for the MIG and extra nozzles for the MIG guns. Yeah, so I think that's a good compromise without trying to put all my fabrication tools, all my clamps and everything that I have on that on there. And so that'll make those more organized as well and not so cluttered. And it'll also declutter this little cheap welding bench. And I put this Swag Off-Road piece on here to try to keep my grinders and things like that. And it is nice having a grinder right here. But I'm not always using the grinders here. So if I'm doing something out in the driveway, this is inside the garage, and it's not that far to walk, but once you've done it a million times, it gets kind of old. What I do want to figure out is a way to hang this on that so that it's always right there with my grinders. Okay, so I just bolted this little piece on right here. I thought I'd grind the corners off and round them, but my fingers really don't touch that. So Ear Pro, mask, and then as far as glasses go, I think what I can do is just put a few pairs like around like that. And probably put another pair over here on this other side where the grinders are. Just so they're close. Yeah. Good. And I have to say, I'm excited because I haven't used this for a big project since I built it, but I've used a few pieces off of it here and there, the tape, a couple of the clamps, you know, the wire brushes, hammer, whatever. And everything's ending up back where it started. So that's really exciting. I can actually find stuff and it's going back where it's supposed to go. Yeehaw!